Welcome back to TV5 News at 9. It's now time for Design Time. Make sure you have your tablet and phone ready because it's some information that you don't want to miss that you can get on that QR code when you scan it. We are in Auburn at Tri-City Furniture with our great friend Kathy Kilborn. Kathy, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you.
Yes. So we're having fun today. We're talking about having like history lessons and learning so much from you. And years ago, furniture pieces were all made here in America, but today it's a bit different. So these products can be made anywhere in the world now. Tell us how these furniture pieces are able to kind of be shipped around the world.
Well, the thing about sofas and chairs is they're big and generally heavy, but what those import manufacturers have figured out is how to take them apart and make them into pieces. So in a chair, the arms will be separate, the back will be separate, and then they can put it into a smaller box. Because if you tried to box the size that it is, it will be way too expensive. And because it has this certain shape, when they go to stack it, it won't come through unbroken, and that's a problem.
Yeah. So Kathy, kind of break down for us what determines like the cost of shipping furniture.
Well, the thing, you know, if you consider just shipping any package, it's usually weight, but with furniture, it's also inches in depth and height. So if you take a package to a place to ship it, they get their tape measure out and they start measuring because it has that combination of the weight and the size. Now the weight, a lot of these imports have figured out, just take things out. You take out some of the steel and don't make the frame as heavy. It comes lighter. That helps in the freight, and you got to understand it's going halfway around the world.
Yeah, and Kathy, that kind of segues into our next question. So does leaving out certain components and putting it into pieces helps import companies get that cost down?
Yes, it does come down, but it's still expensive. Because they can't make it small enough, and you have to assemble the pieces then when it gets here. You know, some stores will do it, but a lot of times it just comes in a box, and everyone has ordered online, and then you have to see what the parts are, and hopefully they're all there. American manufacturers build and reinforce every part of these pieces of furniture, so it's a way different in construction.
So, Kathy, is it true that American manufacturers are always a higher cost?
Not always. So there are some American manufacturers who are trying to directly compete with the imports. Now, what you have to understand is they can't make it as heavy duty as what a normal American manufacturer would be. So because they're trying to keep the price down to be competitive, and so they maybe are using imported fabric, maybe they're leaving out some of the steel. They're still building the frame. You're not going to assemble it when it's done. But you have to understand, if you're buying a manufacturer that is American and is low priced, there has to be a difference because of wages and just the components that go into furniture. So you can't expect as much as maybe a sofa that would run a few $100s more.
So Kathy, is it just safe to say you get what you pay for?
Oh, absolutely. It is amazing what they can leave out. I always like the example. Here's a box. That's what you're buying, is a box. You don't know what's in this box. There could be steel springs. There can be nothing. What's in here? And so you've got to understand, if you leave it empty, that's why it's cheap. So understand, there is a difference. You don't see a $1,000 sofa being sold for $399. A $399 sofa was built for $399, and it is going to be low in quality because there just isn't enough things in there to help it last a long time. A store can't sell a $1,000 sofa for $399.
It's not gonna happen.
They'll go out of business.
Exactly. And Kathy, you have something really cool that we can show, right?
Yes. Well, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's all the same. And I'm like, fabric has really gotten to be different because of the thread.
Yeah.
This is a roll that's imported.
Yeah.
Easy to snap.
Yeah.
It goes through my sewing machine and it'll snap, and I don't even have to put pressure on it. No, I dug through some of my sewing stuff and I
Yeah.
found a spool from my grandmother, still on a wood spool.
This doesn't break.
And you cannot break it.
I'm
You
pulling.
have to get a scissors to cut that.
Yeah.
And that was just a regular thread.
Yeah.
So why you need to understand that is that these are the threads that are being used in the fabrics if they're imports. So what we're wanting is these heavier duty threads
Yeah.
because then the fabric lasts. So there's always a way to cut the quality. In the foams, dense foams. I pick up some of these cushions and I can carry one because they're heavy.
Yeah.
And then there's this, and
This
it's
is
like
nothing, air. Yeah.
It's full of air. So those will compress very, very
Flatten
easily.
out easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the components which are going to make the price. I have American manufacturers I think are very reasonable.
Yeah.
Back, in the 70s, sofas were actually built American and they were about the same price. So now we've moved forward, but they've figured out how to be more efficient.
Yeah.
Leftover wood pieces they use to heat their factory. There's a lot of different ways they've become much more efficient. And so we still get an amazing product from
Yeah.
American manufacturing.
Good stuff, Kathy. I'm really still just blown away by this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You found the price. It was 15 cents.
That's so cool. Well, Kathy, we thank you so much for
Thank you.
another history lesson. This is awesome.
Well, it's important to understand the higher price and
Yeah.
the lower price, they're not the same.
Yeah.
They're just not the same. Many ways to change the quality today. So you may be thinking, oh, I'm getting a great price.
Yeah.
Realize it was made to sell for that price. It's not a great deal. It's just what it is.
It is what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kathy, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for being here with us for this edition of Design Time.